to another recipe testing vlog. Probably gonna be a slightly slow start to this vlog. It's Monday and it feels like the most Monday of Mondays ever. I was on the phone with Lucas during lunch and we were talking about how slow and like tough day today is. I have spent most of the day doing admin work and like planning out my recipes, so I haven't really done any baking today. And we have a busy week. I have so many recipes to test and some brand videos to film and just recipes to add to my Substack and all that kind of stuff. But it's 4:15, so it's a little bit too late to film because the lighting is just, the sun is starting to go down. And so I think I'm just gonna bake something purely for myself to eat, which is rare. I'm always baking it and then I'm tasting it, so I'm not craving it that often, if that makes sense. And I feel like I'm always just like baking for the video and for the recipe on Substack. I kind of want to just like be cozy on the couch tonight and eat banana bread. So I have these 3 super ripe bananas. I was gonna make a tahini banana bread for Substack, but of course in my fresh direct order, tahini was the only thing that didn't come. So I'm gonna have to run out later tonight or tomorrow morning to get it, and then I'll test it, and I'll probably make banana bread a second time this week or maybe the week after, because I do really like the sound of that, and it's inspired by the bakery Thea and Fort Greene. And then I was gonna make a pumpkin cake with cream cheese frosting, but again, it's too late to film that now because it's gonna take a while, so I'm just gonna do that tomorrow, I think. And then for the banana bread, when I'm baking for myself, where I know I'm gonna eat everything and I'm gonna have it for the week, I like to make like small, I don't want to say healthier, and this is a disclaimer, like I'm not a health expert or anything like that, or a nutritionist or whatever, but I like to make like slightly healthier swaps. And I like to have my banana bread super moist with oil, but I don't love baking with neutral oil like vegetable or canola when I know I'm gonna be eating everything, or at least like me and my boyfriend. So this oil it's a blend of olive oil, sunflower oil, and avocado oil. Hopefully it doesn't taste too olive oily because I don't want it to be like an olive oil banana bread, but I think because of the mix, I think should be okay. And I was gonna test a chicken recipe, but I just don't have it in me, so I'm gonna do that tomorrow instead. The thing that works best for me is if I am cooking that day or filming content, I do it like ASAP in the morning, so like 10 o'clock, and then I have the admin to do in the afternoon, because then I know that I'm good on light and I'm always just feeling the most energized in the morning. I also have spelt flour. I was gonna do whole wheat, but I don't have that, so I'm gonna test it with spelt. I'm probably gonna just do like half a cup or something like that. Okay, so obviously you're always supposed to add the fat with the eggs and the sugar, but I forgot to add the olive oil somehow before the flour, so I tried to make like I tried to push the flour aside so I can try to mix in the olive oil on the side. I'm gonna show you. That's silly. Originally, I was gonna add a bunch of chocolate chips, but I ended up skipping that because I added a decent amount of cinnamon because I kind of wanted those like fall vibes instead. And then on top, I sprinkled some sugar in the raw mixed with cinnamon for a little like cinnamon sugar crusted top, and I think it's gonna be really good. It doesn't taste very olive oil at all, which I'm really happy about. Okay, she just came out of the oven and it looks so good and it smells even better. I love anything with like a crispy sugary crust like this. I know you're supposed to technically wait to let it cool before you cut into it, but I feel like it's crazy if you don't like warm banana bread. That looks so good. Overall, decent banana bread. It definitely hits the craving. I think I did add a little bit too much cinnamon, and it's tough because I'm not obsessed with the olive oil flavor that kind of came through. So we're gonna be really happy eating this later when we're watching our show. And if you make this, actually, I don't know if I'm gonna post the recipe, but I probably won't. But if you decide to make banana bread and you want to add a little bit of cinnamon, just add like half teaspoon or so. Okay, today I'm gonna make the pumpkin cake that I was talking about yesterday. And I just spent some time writing down my recipe. I feel like a very specific type of pumpkin cake. I want like kind of like a thick, just single layer round cake pan or cake, and then I'm gonna top it with brown butter cream cheese frosting. I was looking at a few different recipes, and then usually when I'm writing like my own recipe, I'll go off this book called On Food and Cooking by Harold McGee, and they have all of the baker's percentages, and I'll kind of like, at this point, like I baked so many cakes in my life, so I know kind of like base recipes. It's kind of some math, but you can go in and calculate like if your recipe makes sense based on like the ratio of butter or fat, flour, eggs, sugar. So that's what I did here. Cakes like this where you're adding pumpkin puree, you're adding a lot of water, and usually water in a lot of cakes is like 75% of the cake, and a lot of the egg already accounts for that. So by adding pumpkin puree, again, we're adding more water, so the percentage ends up being like way over 100%. That means the cake is going to be a little bit denser, which makes sense because it's a pumpkin cake. And we have to balance that out by adding more leavening because I don't want to mess with the flour amount. So yeah, basically just more leavening. And I'm gonna go with all oil for this as well. So it's like really nice and moist. Then I'm gonna only do brown sugar as well. So I'm only using about 1 cup, which is definitely not all of this. I find it kind of annoying when you have something canned and then you can't use all of it, but the recipe's not gonna work if I use all of this. Hopefully it'll be like just half, and then I can use the rest of the half for another pumpkin recipe, which I don't know what that's gonna be yet, but I'll definitely be doing another pumpkin recipe. There's 425 grams in 1 can of pumpkin, so it's just a little bit over half, so there's about 1 cup left, which makes it pretty easy to like make it in a different recipe. So I'm trying to decide what to bake it in. I don't know if I should bake it in this, which I think is the 10-inch cake pan, or 9-inch. The only thing is this doesn't have a removable pan, which is fine. I just prefer to bake them in, or bake cakes in like springform pans, so it's just easy removal. But this one feels a little bit big, so it's so hard to know exactly how much batter you have just by looking at it, but I think it's about 4 or 5 cups. Okay, I decided I'm gonna bake it in the bigger pan because I would rather have a slightly thinner cake than like a really thick cake. Today is like a big cooking day, especially since I didn't get that much done yesterday. So I'm gonna test a recipe for a chicken right now, and I keep putting it off, but I just have to do it because I bought this like whole spatchcock chicken, and I know I'm not gonna feel like cooking it later tonight. I'm just trying to still decide what to do with it, but I think I'm just gonna do some like normal herbs, maybe some chives, butter, some dill, and then for vegetables I have carrots and I have Brussels sprouts. But we'll see. This is kind of gonna be like an experiment. But literally the best thing is that I don't mind spatchcocking a chicken by myself, but I absolutely love that you can just get them already spatchcocked because it just makes it so much easier and a little bit less intimidating if you haven't made a spatchcocked chicken before. But it looks so funny. So I finished the chicken. I am kind of so-so on the sauce. It's kind of like a mayo-based sauce, and I think that I just don't like the mayonnaise that I got. I always forget that I should always have Hellmann's because it just is the best. And here's what it looks like. Did a little herbs as well, and then did carrots and onions and a little garlic, and I'm so excited. Here she is, beautiful little chicken. Also, here is the pumpkin cake. It rose a little bit more than I wanted it to. Probably added a bit too much baking butter. The 11th. I got a little distracted and forgot to film cutting up the chicken. I always kind of have a hard time cutting up chicken and making it look nice, but here's the platter. I added the roasted vegetables on the side and the roasted garlic, except for the roasted garlic got a little bit burnt, and then I just did like a finishing glaze on top, but I'm actually really happy with it. I was a little concerned that the platter was gonna be too big for the chicken, but I'll show you, it actually looks really good. Added some more herbs too, and I'm so excited to eat this for lunch. So now I'm gonna finish the pumpkin cake. I'm honestly kind of at the point in my day where I don't really feel like baking anymore. I'm doing a little brown butter, which then has to cool for a bit so I can use it in frosting because it's gonna be a brown butter frosting. I feel like that's the best with a pumpkin cake. And then I'm thinking I'm gonna maybe candy some pepitas to toss on top. Keep it pretty simple, and that's it. I will say it domed a little bit more than what maybe I would have liked to, so I do feel like I'm maybe gonna have to test this again, but we'll see once we actually cut into it. I honestly keep forgetting to film because I'm also filming for TikTok, and this recipe has just happened really fast. But I made a cream cheese frosting with brown butter that I browned, and I'll talk more about this in the recipe, but when you're making cream cheese frosting, you know how sometimes if you've made it before, it's really easy for it to get too runny? The trick is to basically make a frosting before you add the cream cheese. So whip the brown butter or butter, vanilla, and like a little bit of water and milk until it's like light and fluffy, and then you mix in the cream cheese last. You just have to make sure that the cream cheese is super softened because otherwise it's going to take a while for it to mix in. But basically cream cheese releases moisture as it whips, So the less you whip, the less moisture it will release and the thicker your cream cheese frosting will be. And there's really not that much sugar in here. It's like 1 3/4 and it's looking pretty stiff and exactly how I want it to be. And then I made some candied pepitas. I thought I had way more pepitas than I actually did. So there's a little too much egg white mixture compared to the pepitas. So I'll have to fix that in the next test that I do, but they still look pretty good actually. Now I'm just gonna frost it and assemble it and try to get some shots in the sunlight before the sun disappears from my backyard. Okay, I just actually decided that I want to pipe it on instead of what I just did. So I'm gonna put it actually in a piping bag and then pipe it on. I don't know what happened here. I went a little bit rogue. Now I don't feel like I have, first of all, the design is a little bit uneven. Okay, this is the final look and then we're adding the pumpkin seeds. My camera is going to die, but I wanted to show you really quick before. Actually, it looks really good. I'm hoping that it tastes as good as it looks so that I don't have to test it like a bunch more times, but I think it should be okay. Okay, we're gonna do taste test. Hopefully my camera doesn't die right before. But look at that slice. I don't know if it's gonna really focus, but it looks stunning. The cream cheese frosting is really good and I am obsessed with these little candied pepitas on top, but I need to taste the cake on its own. Honestly, really nothing wrong with it. I think you can use like very few tweaks. Okay guys, good morning. I kind of totally forgot to film up until now, but I'm testing a pavlova. I originally was gonna do kind of like a normal big batch with 6 egg whites, but then the last time that I made it, I ended up with like so much, so I figured I would half it, and I was just gonna like scoop it out onto the parchment paper like I normally would, but then I was like, wait, I actually kind of want to pipe it, but I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna have enough. I use this kind of like fun piping tip and I'm gonna do like kind of an organic, cool looking shape, I hope. And then I'm gonna poach some pears and top it with the poached pears, wine poached pears, blackberries, and chopped pistachios. It's actually a recipe that I kind of partially developed last year, Food 52, but I never posted the recipe and I never finished it. Some people have been asking for pear recipes and I kind of have forgotten that pears are in season right now. So I was looking at my old TikTok and I was like, wait, I love this recipe, so let's make it. Okay, hopefully this works because I don't really have a plan. I didn't really have enough meringue to make it actually look pretty, so I think I'm just gonna spread it out instead. So I actually ended up just scrapping it and decided to make another batch so that I could just combine the two and have more so I can actually make the one that I want. So I made a little bit more. I'm gonna try to repipe it. Here is what we ended up with. It actually looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm happy enough with it. I think it's good practice for the next time I want to do it. I probably would change a few things, but I put it on this like cake spinny thing, so it was way easier to pipe. So if you have one and you want to pipe a pavlova, I recommend using it. And here is a little closer look. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but yeah, we'll just see how it bakes. Okay, I'm poaching some pears and some red wine for the pavlova. I unfortunately only had like a light red, not like a deep Merlot, but hopefully that's okay. Okay, I want to show you the pavlova. I kind of wish I hadn't added the little squiggles on top too, because I don't know if you can see, but it kind of baked with a few holes kind of peeking through, which makes sense because the pavlova, like the meringue, kind of like collapses on itself a little bit as it bakes. But overall, it looks pretty good. I'm definitely gonna just obviously like crunch down the middle later when we go to assemble, but it's not bad. It has the like faintest hint of brown, which is my own fault. But I think it's gonna look really pretty once we add the poached pears and the whipped cream and the blackberries and the pistachios. But I'm really trying to, it's 2, I feel like I still have a few hours left, but I'm really trying to get as much work done as possible quickly because my friend is coming over at 4 and we're gonna chat about like a fun project that we might work on together, and then we're gonna drink wine. We actually had a darty here on Saturday First of all, somebody said that they call it a danger, which is just so wrong. It's definitely a darty. But we ended up with like 10 extra bottles of wine left over, so she's gonna come over, we're gonna drink some wine, and then we're gonna try to walk into Romans in Fort Greene. They only had a 5:30 and a 5:30 and a 9:30 reservation, and they were both like, one's obviously too early and one's too late. So we're gonna try to walk in. If not, there's so many other restaurants in Fort Greene that I think we can get into, and it's also just a Wednesday night, but you never know because it's like packed everywhere every single day in New York City. But I'm excited. Just have to really try to finish all of this before she comes. Okay, I poached the pears. They're very like light pink. And then here I have extra sauce I'm gonna drizzle on top. Pavlova, ignore the sink, and now we're gonna decorate. I'm honestly like scared to break this because I don't want any other part than the center to break. So happy with how it turned out. Little overview. Okay, I never got to show you the inside of the pavlova yesterday or like a bite shot, but it was really, really good, and I'm so excited to post the recipe. And I know a pavlova always does really well for some reason. The internet loves a pavlova, and I love a pavlova. I could have cooked the pears just a little bit longer, and I think I burnt the wine sauce when I was reducing it a little bit, but overall very good. And I brought some to my neighbor because she's gluten-free, and it's like the perfect gluten-free dessert. And today I haven't done any cooking, which has actually been so nice. I feel like I really just need those days sometimes where I only focus on like editing and admin work and stuff like that, except for now I am making a soup. It's mostly like dinner, and then I decided that I would show you guys a little bit of it. I'm making an acorn squash soup, and then I got 2 pork sausages that I'm gonna crumble up and serve on top. And then I think I'm also maybe gonna toast the squash seeds. I feel like I'm being lazy, but I feel like I should do it because it is really nice on top. And that's it. And it's kind of been rainy today, and so I've just had like a day inside, which has been really nice. And it's actually sneaky hot today, like it's so humid, and I kind of forget that September's like this. But I'm in this like big fleece, which is from, what does it say, New York or Nowhere, and it's my favorite fleece I've ever owned. I bought it last year, and it's oversized, and it's just like so comfy. Definitely not ideal for cooking. I think I'm just gonna put my camera up, show you guys, put some music on to some clips, and then I'm gonna, I think, just eat it on the couch. I'm probably gonna put the soup recipe up online for you guys too, because I feel like everybody always loves a soup recipe.